Imagine you're vacationing in China. You're aware that they have some problems there, but it doesn't really matter since you don't live there, right? After a day out, you go back to your hotel and try going on your blog to post your English assignment, but find that the page won't open. And at the bottom of the page, you see written in bold letters, according to the local laws, policies, and regulations, part of the searching result is not shown. This problem, this violation of our rights, known as censorship, affects us all. It is present in every country, whether it is in the media, in our schools, in our governments. However, we can do something to make this change. Positively impacting the world doesn't restrain us to improving Canadian Academy and where we live. We should not only do it now, but for the rest of our lives. Alone, we can do little, but working together as a community, we can put a stop to this injustice. Censorship has been around for a very long time. In Europe, it can be traced back to the Middle Ages, when the church was in power. It controlled what was to be taught and refused to have its ideas opposed. Since farmers didn't know any better, they followed the church's example, like dogs follow their master. This was a couple of 100 years ago. Since then, in most countries, such as in Europe or in the United States of America, this censorship has changed, and people are free to express themselves. However, in China and in other Eastern countries such as Iran, censorship is present in many forms, and it continues to flourish. Some might argue that some censorship is good, that is needed to a certain extent, such as with inappropriate sites like pornographic ones. But don't teenagers have the right to be curious? According to Uttara Manohar, what people need to realize is that censorship does not imply curbing the freedom of expression. It is merely drawing the line between freedom and unrestrained debauchery. Censorship by the government is, in some cases, understandable, with possible terrorist threats, for example. If the authorities disclose information about constant danger wherever we went, panic would soon take over. Isn't ignorance bliss to a certain extent? Do we really want to know everything that people do in our country, which would keep us up at night wondering if there is any good left in the world? Expressing our thoughts and opinions is something we all tend to take for granted. The entire process of thought to create new ideas is protected by the First Amendment, which is known globally. Those ideas are expressed in many different ways: when we talk, when we write, when we believe, and when we assemble. In China, the First Amendment does simply not exist. What people read on internet has beforehand been read thoroughly to make sure it does not contain any information that the government doesn't want people to know. Searching problems in Tibet, for example, would give little result. In previous times, the church organized book burning, where, as the name suggests, people burned books that the church deemed inappropriate and evil. 500 years later, this book censorship continues in China. In schools, children are taught that Mao Zedong was a god and did no wrong, and the Dalai Lama, well, he's a criminal. In a way, the government brainwashes the Chinese people. And the best part is, they don't even know about it. When we go to school, or when we meet up with our friends at Starbucks, we can talk about whatever we want. Religion, politics, we can express our opinions. Once again, China would not permit that. We would not be able to talk freely about such things. And most Chinese people don't even dare to bring it up. The Chinese people can't rebel themselves against this censorship, since most of them don't even know to what extent it has been applied. Now imagine a toy factory. The toys are first put together, then checked for any mistakes, then checked again and again and again, until they are packed and put out on the market. This is what is happening to the information in China. Say a book is published. The people working for the government will check the book for anything that might be inappropriate. They might stumble upon, let's say, a picture of the Dalai Lama shaking hands with President Clinton, for example, and take it out because the Dalai Lama is not to be spoken of, and especially not in a good way. The book is only then distributed to the Chinese people. China is a rising power. If we let it continue with this censorship applied everywhere in the country, will it not eventually spread to the rest of the world? Let us take the school's motto, to compassionately impact the world further than what we are used to, and together stop this abusive censorship from spreading.